Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Haha. That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as we like to say, the fun is all in the trying. And by the way, I got a distinct feeling that we're going to have at least a little bit of success making this the beginning of our weekend. Today.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Craig, you know what I did hear? We used that the little Hump Day clip there.
Yeah.
This week's actually the 10th anniversary of the release of that commercial.
The 10th anniversary. Wow.
Yeah. So 10 years ago that came out. Hump Day.
Hump Day. Well, there you go. See, we've been using it now for 3 years.
That's right.
That's right. In fact,
3.
Folks, just so you know, this is going to be our last episode this year. Unfortunately, with some things going on, doing the program on Thursday and Friday, it's just going to be too rough in order to make it happen. So we're going to be wrapping the show up, wrapping the year up, wrapping season 3 up today. So this is going to be the last episode of the year. We're going to have a good time with it.
Yeah, the schedules will not allow it. So, yep.
No, they won't.
Here we go. That's it.
Well, you know,
so
Mike, it's
what we're
funny.
gonna do today,
There are a lot of shows that aren't doing anything. Like, you know, I have like my background, you know, stuff that I listen to while I'm working and throughout the day in the mornings, and I'm like, I got nothing but reruns all week.
Yeah. So, folks, we normally come here for 30 minutes to 45 minutes on average, 30 to 45 minutes a day. And since we're not going to be able to come to you Thursday and Friday, we've decided to make today's show 2.5 hours long. So you could just pause it whenever you want to and then come back to it tomorrow or the next day. So 2.5 hours long today, Craig. Here we go.
Okay. So Mike will be here for 2.5 hours.
What?
I have absolutely no idea who he will be talking to, because he will not be talking to me for 2.5 hours.
We're doing. No, you can just watch me. I'll just be sitting here watching some the Dominican Baseball League like this.
Yeah. Which is pretty much what you spend your Tuesday evenings doing there in Location Bravo.
Yeah, it's even better what I do here on Wednesdays. That's even great.
So y'all will have to forgive me if I wind up coughing in your ears. I'm still dealing with the typhoid, whatever you want to call it. Still overcoming the illness, all that fun stuff. So if you see me just disappear off screen, it's probably because I'm trying to turn my mic off so that I can cough.
Don't cough in my beer. You cough in your own beer.
Point taken. And on that note, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's say hi to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. If you've got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, probably got one of their barrels and don't even know it. Now you can buy from them factory direct for your next AR build or rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Make sure you check out the California 6th congressional race while you're there. If you're looking for the best tactical holster on the market, concealable holster on the market, check out our friends at Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you need some field gear, going outdoors, going indoors, going hunting, going camping, going fishing, no matter what you need, you can get everything except a gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. These are our sponsors. They bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. So do us a favor. Do them a favor. Do yourself a favor. Go ahead and click on the links in the description to this program. It'll take you to their websites. You can check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them. And make sure that you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Also want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so, please like, share, subscribe, especially on Rumble. We're relatively new on Rumble. We're getting a lot of good views, but I don't see a lot more subscriptions. Go ahead and click that subscription button. It helps with the algorithms. And also, you'll be alerted whenever the program goes live. You'll be alerted. So check it out. Go ahead and subscribe. Do it today. Do it now. Right now. Rumble.
Do it.
Right
Do
now.
it. All your friends are doing it.
All your friends are doing it. Why aren't you?
Yep.
Anyway. Okay, let's move on to the first story of the day. We know that the media is biased, and we already know that the media is in particular biased against anything remotely Western, and it largely comes from their support of the neo-Marxism. You know, if you're strong, if you are the stronger one in the disagreement or whatever it is, you are the oppressor, and the weaker one is the oppressed. And in this particular case, in the case of Israel and Hamas, because clearly Israel is stronger than Hamas, is more powerful, does have more resources, they are clearly oppressing Hamas, according to the mainstream media. So therefore, the idea of reporting stories fairly, no, they have to create equity in how they report the stories. So in order to do that, they have to make sure that they try to create some sort of moral equivalence. Well, there's one thing that blows all sorts of moral equivalence out of the water when it comes to this. And by the way, it's not just the fact that they killed 1,200 civilians, women and children. Some of them they killed, burned alive in their own cribs, right? Not just that, but then they went and they kidnapped something like 400. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but they several hundred. Yeah, it's like something like 400 Israelis were kidnapped, taken out of Israel, back into the Gaza Strip, and have been there. Now, you would think if this were any other situation at all, we would be hearing about this hostage situation. I mean, think back to the Iran to the Iran hostage situation. Every day it come on the news. Day 59 hostage situation. Well, a quick Google search, and you guys, the reason I wanted to show this to you because you guys can do this yourself. Just go and put Israeli hostages and Hamas. This was just Israel and Hamas. Just put it Israeli hostages, Hamas, and see what comes up. And the interesting thing is that there's almost no talk of the hostages. Here's Reuters saying Israel says five Gaza hostages found dead in tunnel. Now here's the interesting thing about it. When they report about the 20,000 quote unquote dead, according to the Palestinian Health Authority that's run by Hamas, they don't say said by Hamas. That's not in the headline. But in this particular case, well, Israel is probably lying, so we're going to do that. But here's also an article where they raised the tunnel related to that. But you notice there's nothing here, nothing at all about the hostages that are still being held. They're in They're in Gaza now. Here they're saying, this was an article from last week. It's saying Hamas says no more hostages released until the war ends. So now what they're saying is that they're not going to release any more hostages. But once again, this is the BBC. Where's the rest of the mainstream media? Talking about, once again, the hostages that are being held. You got to wonder. I mean, well, once again, you don't have to wonder. We know why. I just wonder how they think or why they think it's appropriate and why they think they can get away with it.
Well, because they're trying to secure the re-election for Joe Biden, and they don't want him to step in anything controversial whatsoever. So if we hide the news of Israel completely, then there's no controversy, right? We just we continue to keep it off the front news of the papers. Craig, I follow what's going on over there. Follow the war effort. I have to seek overseas journalism usually to find out the facts. I'll tell you some of the interesting things that I saw is that did you know? And if you're not following along, you may not know this, folks. That Israel is under attack from 7 different places. I mean, the war effort, like people making war, trying to kill them. It's coming from Lebanon, Syria, Samaria, from everywhere, from the Gaza, from the West Bank. They're being constantly attacked since October 7th. It's gotten worse since they've started their efforts in Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu there has said this will end when there is no more Hamas. And they said, well, how will you know when you get to the Hamas leaders? He goes, we'll know because all of Hamas will be dead. We are not stopping until this is dead, all complete. The United States and the UN has tried to get them to move into a lesser, instead of just bombing, complete blocks. Couldn't we go door to door? And they said, no, this ends when they're all dead. That's when this war is over. We're done with this. We're never going to do this again.
Well, what's interesting is that one sign that all of them are dead is when the bombs stop coming. If missiles are still flying at you, the chances are they're not all dead.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
Somebody's launching the missiles.
There was a story. There was a Palestinian woman feeding her children, and all of a sudden bombs started blowing up in the house next to her. And she said it was very scary. We were afraid for our lives. I feel for the woman. I understand what it's like to have bombs come down on your building and around you. Not the greatest feeling in the world. And they interviewed her, and she said, if the Palestinian authorities or the military had just told us about this ahead of time, we would have gotten out of here. So the Palestinians and the Hamas are not telling the people in the West Bank or people in Gaza what's going on because they want more casualties from the Israelis. They want to be seen as the military that kills innocent civilians. When in reality, what you have is a terrorist organization putting civilians in the way to become casualties to try and gain favor from other terrorist organizations.
Well, and what's even worse is when they do know and they do try to leave, if they're leaving by foot, they are actually turned back and they're told, nope, you are not allowed to leave. If they are in a vehicle, they can drive around some of the blockades and get away. And that's what was happening when they first started notifying people there in the strip, when they first started notifying them and telling them about that they were going to be bombing, and people were leaving, and a lot of them got turned back. They refused to allow them to leave, and they said, "We're going to keep you here for your safety." Wait a minute, right. They're going to bomb us, and you're going to bomb this area, and you're going to make me stay in this area for my safety?
Hamas wants them there as recruiting tools because when they're killed, Hamas will stand up and say, "Look at the Israelis. They are killing innocent civilians here in Palestine. Please, rest of the world, make it stop." That's their strategy.
Yeah, and the problem is that we have a weak-kneed president. We have a complicit media who is parroting exactly those points. And the funny part is that if you go and you listen to their Hamas leaders themselves, they're admitting it. They're like, we need more blood of our women and our children and our people. That's how we're going to win this war. In other words, America is going to, or the West is going to capitulate because they are allowing so many innocents to get killed.
Yeah, and you had it's the Israeli, what is it? I think he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs, like our Secretary of State visited Abe Lincoln in Washington this weekend, and they asked him again, "Can you stop this?" And he goes, "We will stop when all of Hamas is dead. Don't bother asking us again."
There are a lot of things that I will say that with Mr. Blinken that I have taken issue with, but at least I will give them this. They're at least holding the line that, look, we know what victory. They know what victory is in this particular conflict. They have no idea what it means in Ukraine, but this one they know when Hamas is dead.
Yep, exactly. So get ready for it. It's coming.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about something that should have been pretty simple. When President Joe Biden decided that he was going to forgive almost $500 billion of student loan debt. When I say forgive, it's actually, let me clarify. He was going to transfer that debt from the students who took it out. He was going to transfer that debt to the taxpayers. That's us. They were going to transfer that money to us. So we were then going to owe almost $500 billion on top of everything else that all the other spending that he's run up. But the Supreme Court stepped in and said, no, you don't have the ability to do that. You have to, there's a legislative process. Congress controls the purse strings. You have to go to Congress, get them to write a bill, right? Get them to pass a bill, put that stuff in it. Then when they pass it, you sign it. That is constitutional. Well, you would think that that would be the end of it. Nope, not so much. Joe Biden is still pushing student loan forgiveness. In fact, according to Fox News here, it says here the Biden administration continues to cancel billions in student loans despite the Supreme Court's rejection of the president's plan to forgive up to $430 billion in student debt. The White House just announced another $4.8 billion forgiveness loans for 83,000 individuals, a gift of nearly $60,000 per borrower. This brings the total concessions since Biden took office to $132 billion. Now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's almost a third of what he was already told you don't have the authority to forgive?
Yeah, they're going to do what they want, Craig. This is the same as when the Bruin ruling comes out and the Supreme Court says to these states, your law is unconstitutional when it comes to firearms, and they say, okay, we'll just pass another law, and it's the same law, if not worse. On all of this, especially the forgiveness plan, that's money out of our pockets. When all these new laws, unconstitutional laws get passed, guess who's paying for that, folks? You're the ones paying for the litigation. That's taxpayer money paying for that. And in a place where we have inflation continues to climb, by the way, continues to go up. Now the rate may have slowed, right, Craig? And I love this, right? Well, inflation is going the opposite direction. No, still going up. It's just slowed down. Craig, do you remember the old joke where the policeman watches a guy roll through a stop sign, and he pulls the guy over and says, "I stopped you for going through the stop sign," and the guy says, "Oh," he goes, "I slowed down." And he goes, "Yeah, well, it's a stop sign, not a slow down sign." And he goes, "Well, what's the difference?" So the cop pulls him out of the car, takes out his nightstick, and starts beating the guy with the nightstick. And the guy yells, "Stop, stop, stop." So the cop slows down, beating him. And he said, "Hey, I said stop." He goes, "Yeah, I slowed down. What's the difference?" Every time I hear about the inflation slowing down, I think of that old joke. It has not stopped. It's just not growing as fast as it was. We're still in inflation. And these kind of things, $132 billion of money he was told by the Supreme Court he couldn't give out, he's continuing to give out to people to attempt to buy their votes.
Well, and Mike, it goes back to the once again, it's not just that it's not going backwards either. Prices aren't going down. The opposite of up is down, right? Am I correct with that? Yeah. Opposite of up is down?
Well, but according to the White House, the opposite of up is slower up.
There you go. Well, but keep in mind, in Washington, D.C., when they call something a spending cut, they don't actually reduce spending. They just reduce what they were planning. They reduce the increase that they were planning to implement.
It's less spending. It's you got full spending, then less spending, and that's a decrease to them.
More appropriate is less than previously discussed spending. How about that?
But still more than we're authorized to. Yeah.
Still more than we should be spending.
Yep.
It is and once again, this is a redistribution of wealth, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand this. There is no way that this is anything else other than a redistribution of wealth, because who's getting this student loan debt? Only a little bit of it, only a small portion of it are people who went to trade schools. Most of it are people who went to college. People who went to get a degree in Chicano studies, ethnic studies, women's studies, basket weaving, sociology, right? And by the way, some of these are actually now doctors and lawyers and people who are, quite frankly, in a position where they can afford to pay off their student loans. And if they're not in a position to pay off their student loans, why would you go and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt to go into a field that you know you can't afford to pay it back? That's just dumb. Why do liberals always want to encourage bad behavior? If you want something to change, if you want people to make good decisions, right? Then there have to be consequences. Stupid has got to hurt.
It should. It really should. That'd be a huge lesson that people would learn much, much quicker.
Right. But think about it, Mike. Look, people who didn't go to college, right? They're going to be paying off the student debt for the people who did, right?
Yes.
People who didn't go to,
absolutely.
for example, I chose not to go to postgraduate school because I looked at the cost. When I was younger, I had little kids. We were a single income household. I couldn't afford it. So I worked. I didn't worry about going back to school, right? Yeah. Now that I'm older, I look at it and I make the decision. I'm like, well, I could do it, but it's going to cost me this much. But how much is it going to get me in lifetime earnings? Maybe only this much. So it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to spend all that money on something that's not going to pay for itself.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to have that extra piece of paper on the wall, but that extra piece of paper on the wall ain't paying the bills.
No, it's not. Especially when you consider some of the neo-Marxist crap that they're teaching in many of these institutions of higher education. But yeah, no, it's right. Look, these are bad decisions that people made. And I'm sorry you made those bad decisions, but pay off your debts. Pay off your debt. Pay off your debt.
Yeah.
My son went to school. My son went to UC Santa Barbara, one of the most expensive places in the United States to live. You know what he did? He worked delivering pizzas to help pay his way through school. Right? He lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 guys in a 2-bedroom apartment. Guess what? Because he figured, I'm not going to go take out a whole bunch of debt, right? I'm not going to take out a whole bunch of debt that I'm going to have to sit there and continue to pay going forward into the future just so that I can live, in my own apartment. But that's what a lot of these folks do. Most of that money, by the way, is not going to the actual education. It's actually going to just, paying their cost of living, the stuff, the normal living that they do when they go. When I was in school, man, I had 2 and 3 jobs. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Now I
Absolutely
sound
right. Absolutely right. Yep. No, I did the same thing. I had 2 or 3 jobs. In fact, I took out a $7,000 loan in my second semester, first year, to cover those gap expenses. Yep. And hated it. Hated having to have that loan. And I know I had to defer it until I was done with school, but I had that thing paid off by the time I was done with school, working those jobs. So
that's what my son did, and that's what I had my student loans paid off not long after I graduated, and I had both mine and my wife's, but we didn't. Once again, we didn't rack up a whole bunch of debt. Anyway, I'm just saying those are the decisions that you make. So I'm just saying, folks. Yeah, no, this is a bad, because by the way, and I made a mistake because I said that we're paying this. We're busy paying the other 30 some odd trillion dollars of the deficit. This is going to be on our grandkids. They're the ones that are going to be paying off the student loans for the people who went to college when we did.
Oh yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right.
Bad juju. Not very happy. But we do have actually a very good decision here. Michigan. Now, Michigan is one of the other states. I think it was something like 22 different states, Mike, to correct me if I'm wrong. It was like either 9 or 22. I don't remember the exact number. But states where they were going after trying to get Donald Trump off of the primary ballot. Well, now it appears that the state of Michigan has now ruled that Donald Trump may stay on the ballot. It says here, Michigan Supreme Court rejects 14th Amendment election challenge to Trump. Basically, Mike, what this means is now you've got 2 rulings from 2 different jurisdictions. Sounds like it's prime for the Supreme Court to make a decision on this. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I Craig, last count I saw was something like if in the teens, high teens, maybe even as high as 19 other states had this appeal brought to them by liberal attorneys general, and they all denied it. So only Colorado went there, and like we talked about previously, Colorado was never in play. All it did was put more Kansas spinach getting thrown at President Trump, making him stronger. So.
Right. Well, there's clearly not enough votes in Colorado to overturn who the nominee is. Now the question is going to be this: let's say that ruling stands. Does that mean that he's no longer going to be on the presidential ballot in the general election? I mean, if he's the selection of the Republican, well, here's the thing: if it stands, the Colorado State Republican Party has already said they will then withdraw from the primary process, and they'll do a caucus, and that's how they'll select it.
Yeah.
But then the question is, will Colorado try to keep him off the general election ballot? I don't see how you get away with that.
Well, I don't see how, but then again, Craig, we're evidently okay to do unconstitutional things without repercussions now. We're allowed to do those things.
Well, and once again, that just goes back to what I've said before. I do not understand how we get away with this, how we allow elected officials to knowingly, and I think it's easy to say, to knowingly violate the Constitution with absolutely no repercussions. I mean, it's right there in your oath of office. I do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of these United States.
Yeah.
When I told you beforehand, if you do this, this is unconstitutional, and then you do this, you kind of broke the Constitution. You literally, you didn't do it on accident either.
Right. No, and again, listen, we talked about this before. I don't want to get off into it. It's the difference between total immunity and qualified immunity. We need to switch those around. But in the meantime, the short-term answer is the Supreme Court needs to put people in contempt and send the U.S. Marshal's office out to bring these violators before them.
I would love to see Gavin Newsom get drugged out of the governor's mansion by U.S. Marshals.
Yeah.
But they got to wear the cowboy hats,
buddy.
though. They got to be like Texas Rangers. They got to wear the cowboy hat.
There you go. Do it.
Get it. No. Here's what get a brother look like Bass Reeves.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I want to see.
There you go. Yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of like a Tommy Lee Jones kind of guy. And when they say, "But I didn't do it," and he responds, "I don't care." It's I'm taking you to court. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care.
Is it just me, or has Tommy Lee Jones looked like the same age for the last 40 years?
Yeah, he's got that going on for him. Yeah, he does.
He's got a new movie out on, I think it's on Hulu. And I tried watching it. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Gotcha.
Moving right along, ignoring the real cause of the Nashville shooting. And I wanted to bring this one up because, whenever there's a shooting, and here we come at the end of the year, and this is probably their last time where they're really going to be able to sink their teeth into this one, into the Nashville shooting. They're over at the New York Times. They have a piece there where they're talking about covenant parents aren't going to keep quiet on guns. A group of parents reeling from the mass shooting at their children's private Christian school believed no one was in better position to persuade the GOP to enact limited gun control. Now, let's start with number one. I think you and I both know, Mike, they're not interested in limited gun control. They want full-blown gun control. They want to disarm law-abiding citizens. They want to tell you what guns you can own. They want to tell you how much ammo you can own. They want to make you store the guns and the ammo separately. They want to do all sorts of background checks. They want to be able to take your firearms away from you if you happen to be of the wrong political persuasion. We know that, basically what they want is they want you to have single-shot muskets that, once again, we have to keep the ammo and everything separate. It's got to have a safety on it. It's also got to be a smart musket as well. But what gets me, Mike, and this is my whole point of this, bringing up this particular article is that they're not talking about the real cause. And I don't know if you ever got a chance to read the or at least the parts that have been leaked of the manifesto that was done by the shooter who did this. But this literally was an individual who had been fully and wholly indoctrinated into the woke victimization, was an intersectional ladder hierarchy of victimization, the DEI, transgender, all of that. And it clearly was borne out in the statements that were made in that individual's I don't really want to call it a manifesto because they didn't release enough of it for it to sound like a manifesto. But clearly, this individual had mental health issues.
Yeah, it was more of his diary, I guess you could call it. His journal.
There you go, journal. I like that. Journal entries.
Yep. But yeah, this guy was a whack job. Clearly was. But again, we can't release that, Craig, because that will tell the story we don't want told. That will tell the story of how they actually propelled and pushed this guy towards becoming what he was, and that's a murderer of innocent people in a school.
Well, and also once again with that is that they don't want you to hear about the root cause. First of all, guns are never a root cause. Access to firearms is never a root cause. Because right now, I mean, look at what's going on right now in Great Britain where they have, I mean, they're dealing with 40, an average of 43 knife attacks a day in London.
Yeah.
43 a day in one set. Those are Chicago-like numbers. I mean,
yeah.
That's the sort of stuff that they're dealing with right now. And they've banned individual ownership of firearms there in Great Britain. So we know that's not the case. Suicide. Japan has a much higher suicide rate than does the United States, yet they've completely banned firearms.
Yes.
Guns are not the cause.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing, Craig. You're telling me that it's not the gun that caused the suicides or the knife attacks? How is that possible? Maybe the guns talked to the knives ahead of time and said, "Listen, you guys go do it. We're going to go in for some maintenance. It's your turn now." Maybe that was it.
Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. All I know is that no one wants to talk about the root cause or the root causes. Because first of all, let's be real. In over 80% of all shootings, gangs and drugs are the likely cause. 80%. But we don't want to talk about those.
Yeah, crime on crime, criminals on criminals.
Right.
That's what that 80% is.
Exactly. They want to make it like young people are going out and buying firearms, which is why you can't advertise to them. I'm like, no, these are young criminals who are probably getting the guns from adults so that they can conduct adult business, but only receive consequences as a minor.
There you go. It's crazy like that.
Funny how that works. All right, that brings us to our parting shots, brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholster.com, use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, just one word. Get your Hog Holster today. We have a special one here for you today because I was going through and I was perusing the Babylon Bee, and being that I'm from California, I saw this list and I was like, I am sure, I am quite positive that I'm on it. I've got to be on this list. What list is that, you ask? The 10 most wanted criminals in California. So we're going to go ahead and go through this list here real quick. Number 1, the father who didn't want to transition his son. As they say, what a hateful, bigoted man.
How dare he?
How dare he? Oh, here's a good one. Number 2, the store owner who attempted to stop the shoplifter because he has no right to protect his own things from people trying to steal them.
Yeah. And
clearly that makes him a criminal.
For that mustache. He should be a bigger criminal for that mustache. Look at that manly mustache. How dare he wear that?
I know. Number 3, Ron DeSantis for murdering Gavin Newsom live on television. Okay. That was just appearing, quite frankly. I don't know that he should get it for murdering him because it was part suicide. Because to show up when you know all the facts are not on your side, that was just dumb.
Yep.
Number 4.
Yep.
This kid who did finger guns at school because she's clearly practicing for a mass shooting.
Look at her, little deviant.
I know, look at that. Look, are those registered? Have you done a background check for those?
That doesn't look like a Gen 3 Glock. That looks
Dude,
older. Looks
I'm
newer.
telling you, kids in some schools, they can actually, you get sent to the principal for doing that. Number 5, the waitress who offered someone a plastic straw because, well, she was clearly trying to kill the earth.
Murderer. Yep. Turtle murderer.
As my friend, as Tom McDonald, the rapper, would say, you tried to get rid of plastic straws wrapped in paper and replace them with paper straws wrapped in plastic.
That's true.
Oh, this madman who used his gas-powered lawnmower. Thousands of people died from this violent act.
I'm surprised we can even see that photo through the thick carbon footprint he left.
I'm sorry, that was good. That was good. Elon Musk, currently the world's most dangerous man.
Right, Bob? Right?
Right. Okay. I don't even know what to say with that one. This guy who was photographed illegally skateboarding during the pandemic. He wasn't even wearing a mask. Clearly, we need to lock him up.
And where's his elbow pads, huh?
I have no idea. This dangerous family of 5 who go to church every Sunday. This is no place for Christian nationalists. Yeah, by the way, going to church on the regular makes you a Christian nationalist now, which basically means you're a bigot.
Look at these freaking white people.
You people.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. The 6 million Californians who voted for Donald Trump. Every single one of these dangerous domestic terrorists should have their right to vote taken away. Why? Because they want to save democracy.
Listen, those 6 million people in California, Craig, are the only reason that we haven't gone Superman 2 on fault line out there. It's the only reason.
I will just liken it. I would just liken it back to, when with Sodom and Gomorrah, when he told him, he said, "Look, if you can find just one righteous man," and there are a few righteous people in California, which is why we haven't just fallen off into the sea yet.
That's it.
So
a lot of people in Vegas that have beachfront property coming up. All you got to do is say,
that's if they survive the tidal wave. Because keep in mind, a lot of Californians move to Vegas. In particular, the ones who are not necessarily the ones who are part of the problem and trying to run from the problem they created. They mostly move to Vegas.
I don't think, Craig, there'll be a tidal wave. I think because when all those Californians go down, they suck so bad they're just going to suck the wave in there with them. It's not going to. There's not going to be a tidal wave. Just too much suck going down.
Too much suck going down. Okay. All right, Mike. Well, hey, that means it's about that time for us to wrap it up. So let's go ahead and give our shout out to our sponsors.
That's right. Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Get yourself a barrel now for your pistol or AR build. Any rifle, any barrel length, any caliber you need for your next AR rifle or pistol build. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Check out that 6th California congressional race while you're there. And if you need some tactical gear, you're going outdoors, you're going indoors, you're going hunting, you're going camping, no matter where you're going, you get everything but the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment. Visit CraigDeluze.com. That's CraigDeluze.com. Kick in some cash. We need some help. Need some help with the campaign. We're working right now on trying to raise enough money for some those big, huge, like big poster size yard signs. Get a chance to see me and my mug out there on them. So do me a favor. Go ahead. Go to CraigDeluze.com. And all you got to do is click on the donate button. Go there, click on the donate button, and kick in a few shekels. Like I said, no matter how much you can do or how little you can do, as long as you do something, It's a big help. And there we go. I was trying to get that up there right there. So it's right there, craigdeluz.com, or just go to craigdeluz.com, click on the donate button, and give today. And with that, we are done for today. We're done for the year. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program. We're going to be back on Tuesday because Monday is obviously a holiday. So we will be back on Tuesday the 2nd of January, starting with episode 1 of season 4 of The Rundown.
There you go.
Y'all take care. See y'all Monday.